Hello and welcome to Maple Flavored Yoga. My name is Andy and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already done so, I would really appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button. Feel free to like or share this class or any of the classes. Leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. These small actions help support me in continuing to create content on this channel, and it really does go a long way. Today's class is going to be a heart opening yin sequence. I love heart openers, even though I do find them very challenging. The benefits definitely outweigh any discomfort that I feel in the poses. And I hope that this class will help you lead with your heart throughout your day or your week and help process maybe some things that you've been holding on to that are no longer serving you. So as always, we will come into this space fully. Connecting with our breath. Feeling our sit bones on the floor. Fully arriving here so that we can be present in each moment, or at least try to be. We aren't striving for perfection. I would like to send my gratitude to the creators and cultivators of yoga and this yin practice today. Without this beautiful long lineage, we wouldn't have this practice that we get to share. If your eyes were closed, you may blink them open, taking in the space. Our first pose is going to be a supported fish pose. So you can use a block or a bolster, whichever works best for you. I'm going to use this bolster, but I have a smaller bolster that might be a little more comfortable if you have a more tight spine or if heart openers are really difficult for you. Maybe using something that's a bit smaller. You could also use a yoga block. I have a cork block and I also have foam blocks. So again, it's just a personal preference. So we'll take our bolster or whatever prop you choose and place it behind you. You bring your legs out front. And then take your bolster behind you. You want to have it so it's just underneath of your shoulder blades. And then allowing yourself to drape over the prop. You can bring your arms down by your side. Or you can grab your shoulders, opposite shoulders. If this feels really intense, you have the option of taking your bolster, or you can take two blocks as well. So I'm going to take my bolster. You could use a pillow or anything like that. And, oh, hi Dr. Claw. Cue Dr. Claw. So I'm going to have the bolster straight behind me like this. And I'll have the bolster right to my low back. And then using your hands, slowly allow yourself to come back on your spine. And bringing your hands down by your side. You also can take the option of bringing your arms up over your head and grasping opposite elbows as well. And that can feel really, really nice. It'll give an opening into the shoulders, which is still working on your heart chakra. So, take a few moments and find what option is best for you. And then once you find a position that is comfortable enough, just drop in You can let your feet flop out to the side. Find your breath. As with any yin practice, we want to find our minimum edge, that wall of resistance, and settle into that. Finding stillness. We want to avoid any unnecessary movements. It's fine if you're adjusting into the position, either sinking in deeper or maybe moving out of the position if it starts to become too intense. But any unnecessary movements, so adjusting your hair or scratching scratch. These are all distractions. We want to close our eyes during our yin poses as well, as long as you feel comfortable. This just helps remove any distractions. If your eyes are open, try to stay focused on one point. More breaths in the shape. To open your eyes if they were closed. Placing your hands on the floor, you can begin to sit up, taking great care and observing any sensations that you feel when you're moving, coming out of the pose. Moving into and out of our poses are the most focused we should be. Just making sure that we're being very careful and listening to our bodies when we're moving in and out of these poses. So take as much time as you need, moving in and out. You can bring your knees to your chest and give yourself a hug here. Sometimes it seems silly when you think of giving yourself a hug, but actually it's really a beautiful and simple way to show yourself love and affection. We'll release that now. We'll make our way into tabletop. You can move your bolster, whatever props you are using, off to the side. we're going to come into heart melting pose, which is similar to puppy pose. I'm going to use my foam blocks because I have really bony elbows. So when I use the cork blocks, it's really uncomfortable for me. If you only have cork blocks and you have a similar sensitive elbow situation, you could use towels or something, or little pillows on top. That works as well. If heart melting pose is really intense for you, you don't even need to use blocks. You can just bring your arms out front or come into a child's pose with your legs wide and bringing your arms out front and letting your chest sink down. Maybe that feels better in your body. Again, we don't ever want to feel any pain. Discomfort is the goal, oddly enough. You want to find that edge and then melt into it. And sometimes that means we can move into the pose a little bit more, or we need to come out of the pose a little bit more, and either are just as beneficial. It just depends on what feels best in your body. So what I usually do is I will bring my elbows onto the blocks and grab each elbow to make sure that I have the correct amount of space. And in this variation, if you'd like, I'm going to take my hands and bring them into prayer pose, slide my knees back so they're pretty much under my hips, and then I'm going to let my heart sink down, and then I'm going to bring my hands towards the back of my neck. And this might take a few minutes of adjusting to make sure that you feel comfortable, that you can hang out here. So take a few minutes, find what works best for you. Maybe your blocks are on this level. You can also have them on this level, or if you have really flexible thoracic spine and shoulders, you can put them on this level. But all of them are just as beneficial. You also can keep your arms extended and bring your hands on the blocks, moving your blocks forward like this. Lots of options. Select what's best for you. Take a few moments, set yourself up, and then allow yourself to sink in. Your head can get heavy. Find your breath, close your eyes. If you feel the urge to come out of the pose and you're not experiencing any pain, the question I typically ask myself is, first off, am I in pain? If the answer is no, then I ask myself, why do I want to move right now? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Inhale, you can begin to push into the blocks, coming forward. I usually walk my knees in because I have a lot of saturation in my shoulders. Whew. So I just let that wave of chi or prana really wash over my shoulders or wherever you're feeling it. Maybe you're feeling it in a different part of your body. And then I usually roll my shoulders back a few times just to help dissipate all of that. That was a lot for me anyway. I mean, everyone is different, but so from here, we're going to come into Sphinx Pose. We're going to very mindfully make our way down onto our bellies. And depending on your flexibility or your range of motion, whatever you want to call it, you can use your arms in a traditional Sphinx pose, making sure that your legs are heavy. You can always put a blanket underneath your hips if that feels better for you. And then pulling your hands towards your hips, just very slightly to help pull your heart forward and making sure that we're not totally dumping into our low back, that we're allowing our full spine to really enjoy this back bend. If this doesn't really feel good for your elbows, again, you could put a blanket underneath your elbows if you're a bony elbow gal or guy, or they, them. If you're non-binary, you can always bring your bolster underneath as well and bring your hands onto one another. If you wanted a little more elevation, you had some blocks, you could put blocks under there or roll up blankets or pillows or whatever feels best for you. This, I guess, would be more of like a crocodile, almost, an assisted crocodile pose. But it really doesn't matter what pose or what the name is. You're still getting all the benefits. You're opening your heart, you're allowing the front line of your body to expand. So that is our goal. So whatever name you want to call it by, we're only going to stay here for a minute. So close your eyes, breathe into your belly. Allow whatever messages your body or your emotions or your energetic body want to share with you. Allow those to surface and allow them to be whatever they are. Dropping any expectations for what you should be feeling or labeling things as good or bad. We're meant to feel and experience the whole spectrum of emotion. Some are more pleasant than others, but there is purpose behind all of them, and none of them are vindictive. They just are. From here, we can lower our bellies down to the mat, bringing our hands underneath of our shoulders, and we'll push up and back into child's pose. You can keep your hands out front, or I might suggest, since we're doing a lot of heart opening, to give your heart a bit of a break and bringing your hands down by your sides. Allowing your third eye to rest on the floor. If you'd like to rock your head, even if you'd like to rock your hips from side to side,
But stimulating that third eye, our third eye gives us insight. So by massaging our third eye, hopefully we'll gain some insight or additional insight from this practice today. From here, inhale, we'll rise. I'm already feeling really good. I hope you guys are too. Heart openers are a challenge, but man, they really do give me the warm and fuzzies. Okay, well they do for me, I can't speak for you. So from here, we're going to tuck our toes and push back into downward facing dog just to assist our movement into our next pose, which is going to be Swan Pose. So on our next inhale, we'll come forward and we'll bring our left knee behind our left wrist. And we're going to bring our leg on a 45-degree angle. If you need to, you can walk your right foot back. We want to make sure that our hip is in line, our knee is in line with our hip, and our ankle is in line with our knees. We've got a nice straight line there. If this is feeling very uncomfortable, you can always grab a bolster or a block or anything like that to elevate your hip up off the floor. Maybe this feels better for you. If you really have to roll out to the side like this, we don't want to have that happening. You want to make sure that our right hip is still pointing relatively down to the mat or squared to the front, I guess would be a better description. So maybe you're here, bring your hands on your hips if that feels good, or if you have blocks, you can do that as well. This is still giving us this nice back bend. We're lifting our hearts up to the sky though, so we're not just dumping into our low back. So taking the time to find what props feel best for you. If this doesn't feel good for your knee or your leg or anything like that, there is always the option to bring your shin parallel to the front of the mat as well. So take a few moments to see what feels better for you. I personally, it feels better in my body to do it this way. So take a few moments, try out a few different poses, and then when you're ready, you can just close your eyes and allow this pose to share whatever it needs to share with you. Slow, steady breaths in and out of your nose. If at any time you feel that you do have a release that you want to exhale out of your mouth, go for it. This is your practice. Again, trying to avoid any unnecessary movements or fidgets. Trying to stay in this moment. If thoughts arise, that's totally normal. But try and stay in this moment, or maybe there's a thought that arises that you're meant to process or think on during this practice. Something that you need to digest or work through, and this is the perfect time to do that. Just being mindful of, is this thought process productive? Is it serving me? Surrendering to this pose. A few more breaths here. From here, we can bring our hands back to the mat, fully tucking our back toes, pushing into the floor, and we'll come back into downward facing dog. Once again, just for a few breaths. To reset, and then we'll take our right foot and we'll step it forward, bringing our right knee behind our right wrist. And again, walking your left foot back or getting into this pose however it feels best for you. Try and stay in the mat here. Making sure that your leg is in line with your hip. Again, always choosing to bring that front shin parallel with the front of the mat if that feels better for you. Using any props, blocks, or bolsters underneath of your thigh to elevate the hips if that feels better for you as well. So take a few moments. Try and find what feels good in your body, or finding a position that you'll be able to hold for the next few moments that we're in this pose. So once again, closing the eyes. Heart is feeling light. Let gravity make your legs and your hips feel heavy. Allowing this gentle back bend to open up our heart. Allowing the element of the heart chakra, air, to flow freely. While we're in this pose, or any of our yin poses, try to see if you're holding tension in spaces or transferring tension from one space to another. Maybe you're feeling like, oh, my hips feel really open right now, but then you look at your shoulders and they're like up by your ears, or you're clenching your jaw, or your eyes are squished really tightly. So trying to really just soften as much as possible. Allowing our breath to really soothe and calm, tapping into that parasympathetic nervous system. We're safe
in these poses. Once again, we'll plant our hands onto the mat, tucking our back toes, pushing up, and we'll step back into downward facing dog. Just for a few breaths to reset here. You can also come into child's pose if that feels better for you. From here, we will come down into tabletop, and actually we'll come right back down onto our bellies. You can move the props off to the side. And we're going to extend our left arm directly out from the socket. So if this is 12 o'clock, this is 3, 6, this is 9. Left ear and cheek come onto the mat, right hand comes underneath of the shoulder, and you can push up, rolling onto your side. If it's available to you, you can step your right foot behind you, bringing it onto the floor. Once again, we will drop in, melt into this pose, allowing this beautiful opening into our shoulder. You don't have to come onto your side if that doesn't feel good for you. Obviously, as always, listening to your body, rolling as far as you feel that edge and holding there. You could always put a block or a bolster or a pillow or something underneath of you if you're somewhere around in here, just so you can really relax into the pose. I guess relax or surrender would be a better description. Our next inhale, slowly, slowly, slowly roll back onto our bellies. And we're going to come into that on the other side. So we're going to extend our right arm out. I'm going to, you stay, I'm just going to rotate so I can still face you. So right arm comes out. Right cheek and right ear come onto the floor. Left hand comes underneath the left shoulder. And you can begin to roll as far as feels comfortable. And if you'd like, you can bring your left foot onto the floor behind you. Again, no pain. Breathing into spaces that feel tight or sticky. Each side's going to feel different, and that's totally normal. Our right side is responsible for our masculine energy, the sun, heat, fire energy, the act of doing. And our left is our feminine energy, cooling, relaxing, our yin energy.
Next inhale, we'll roll back onto our bellies. And we're going to make our way onto our spines once again. We're going to be coming into legs up the wall before we come into Shavasana. So you can use your block or bolster. I prefer using a cork block for this. It just makes me feel a bit more stable. We're only going to do this pose for about a minute. So finding your sacrum, which is that flat fused bone just below your lumbar spine. If you find that sweet spot, bringing your legs up the wall. I mean, if you can, slide up against the wall. That is definitely beneficial too. You can definitely do that. You might have to wiggle around a bit till you find that perfect spot. There we go. Bringing your hands down by your sides, feet up. Allow your neck to be spacious. Allowing all that blood to drain out of your legs, assisting blood return to your heart. This blood helps nourish your heart and your brain. There's so many benefits to inversions. It's a great pose before bed as well. Improve your sleep. Really letting gravity take you. Do 3 more breaths here. Inhale, bring our feet down, pushing up, and we'll slide the block out to the side, and we'll come right into our Shavasana, letting our legs flop out to the side. Nice long spine and neck, letting yourself surrender to our Shavasana or corpse pose. Releasing any commands you had of the breath. If you feel ready to come out of Shavasana, you can introduce some wiggles into your fingers and your toes. Give yourself a great big stretch. And then one at a time, bringing your knees into your chest and giving yourself a hug. And then when you feel ready, you can roll onto your left side. Take a moment there. And then make your way back up to seated. Closing your eyes. Taking note of whatever physical sensations you're experiencing, any thoughts or emotions that are coming up. Knowing that they all are messages for you. Bringing our hands to heart center, bowing our heads,
sending gratitude to ourselves for investing in our well-being. And know that wherever this life takes you, that you are seen, you are loved, and you are divine. Take care.